Hey, everybody. That is Gary Smith.
Earrings.
That is Kaz Kenny.
Kapow!
And I am Eddie Bramble, and this is episode 34 of the Blackwater's Edge podcast. Kaz, why don't you start us off with this week's fishing report?
All right. Well,
Stop laughing at me. Stop laughing.
so let's talk a little about the fishing down here on the Eastern Shore and what's been going on. So, after the rains came through this past week, the bite really fired up. A lot of people started catching fish after the hurricane pushed through, and it's been pretty much still continuing as we go. We've had several pop-up storms here in the last 3 days, and that has also attributed to some of the lowering of the current water temperature. Keep in mind that we were up close to 95 degrees at one time here in Blackwater here in the last couple of weeks.
I saw some boiling over on the side of the shore.
Hey, I pulled into a spot, had me 2 dozen steamed crabs come right to the top. That's how hot it was. So,
See, pull into the shallows and the methane bubbles up. You wonder if the water's boiling.
just don't light your cigarette. Anyway.
And speaking of the bite picking up,
right.
you got to say the same thing for the mosquito bites.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, my God,
man,
it's
they
been
have
crazy.
come on.
And what I noticed is the rain came through, and it seemed like we had that heavy rain. Like there was no chiggers for like 2 or 3 days. And then it seemed like it kind of dried out, and I don't know where I was just infested with chiggers. Anyway, so back to the fishing. The water got really hot. Things kind of slowed down really, really bad for us. And now we're seeing I just like to call it a super bite because that's what we've seen here the last couple of days anyway since these storms moved through. I know particularly, my friend James, he's been coming down here and he's here with working for Siemens or whatever, how you say that company. And he's been taking his lunch breaks and his evening fishing trips, and he's been smoking the fish too. So it's really good to hear that he's been doing pretty good. Gary had a trip last week. So before I get into the whole overscope, why don't we talk a little bit about you and your brother? You got out there. I know you guys caught a few bass. Tell us a little bit about that fishing trip, how that went.
We went actually the Saturday before, and it was so hot. We just didn't. Had several hits, just didn't nothing hooked up. They were just kind of bumping it,
Right.
smacking it around.
Slow.
But we went. My brother, I caught 2. My brother caught 1, and we caught several nice bass. And I actually even caught one little bass about 10, 12 inches long, which is kind of the first one I've seen in a couple of years. It's kind of neat to see them.
That's certainly good to see that too.
Yeah, it was great.
Another thing too is we've seen some big crappie being caught here pretty recently. Around some of the bridges and some of the laydowns in some of the areas. So you never know what's going to happen, especially when we've had hot temperatures like this, and then we get like a rain come through. I always tell people, if you've been coming here and it's been hot and you've been struggling, just wait for the next rain. When the next rain comes, try to play it where you can be there the next 24 hours or 48 hours, and you should be able to change your production if you've been struggling. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Local area-wise, 335's been hot. Key Wiles has been hot. Maple Dam's been hot. Everywhere's been pretty hot. Out of the area, let's talk about a couple places. The Chop Tank River, we're hearing of increased catch amounts in a lot of places. Up in the Chester, we're really hearing that, some of that stuff has picked up, there as far as what they're catching. Barron Creek down there, they've been catching some in there. I'm hearing, a lot of stuff in the Nanacoke. They're catching some nice blue cats right now in the Nanacoke. If you put some time in, you can find them. They're catching a few perch, a few rockfish. Up in the Marshy Hope, where guys we're talking to that are bass fishing are seeing a lot more snakeheads here the last couple weeks. The water's been fairly clear, so they can see a little bit better what's going on. I don't know. It's just been a lot of stuff going on. The Upper Bay, we're talking to some of the guys up there working, doing surveys and things like that. Rob. So don't throw me off right now, dude. Anyway, so I talked to some friends that have been fishing Deer Creek up above like Noble's Mill Dam and above there, and they are seeing some snakeheads in Deer Creek. Quite a few actually. Same with Otter Creek. I'm hearing quite a few are up in there right now. Grays Run, I've heard some guys catching some over there on the Beta Flats. They're shooting quite a few. So the Bush River has been a hot area to go and look for some snakeheads. The Gunpowder, I've heard that name just a lot the last 2 weeks. Gunpowder. My friends I'm talking to that live up there that I grew up with, it's a lot of snakeheads over there, especially in Joppa Town, up around the marinas and up around all the houses and the canals and things like that. Swan Creek, talked to some fellas that have been fishing up Swan Creek, the flats, and the back channel over there. They're seeing quite a few snakeheads in the area also. So, and they're seeing fry balls. That's how a lot of these people are noticing this snakeheads. Not that they know what they're looking for, but a lot of folks are seeing the videos of fry balls and what that actually looks like, and they're sending me text messages and pictures saying, "Kaz, is this what I'm looking at here?" And absolutely, that's what we're seeing. So, we know the numbers are coming up in a lot of places. I was talking to the boy, one boy over there in Swan Creek, and he said if you follow the creek up above the actual, let's just call it the cove area into the creek itself, and used to be an old landfill up there in Haverty Grace, and supposedly that stretch up there above the canal, they're seeing quite a few snakeheads there too. And I have talked to somebody who caught one in Swan Creek all the way up above Route 40 in the little stream area. So he's a fall fisherman. That's what he likes to do is catch fall fish. And he said he was fall fishing. Unbeknownst to him, he caught a little 8-inch snakehead. So, we know they're coming up the creeks now and things like that. A lot of people have been talking this week about trout fishing in the trout streams. And, unfortunately, these fish are going to go wherever they can go. So, you're going to see them in the trout streams now. You're going to see them in the places that you haven't seen them. So, a lot of the reservoirs, I'm getting pictures from several reservoirs of stuff they're seeing in coves and things like that. So basically the fish are everywhere. I guess we know we're never going to stop them. So enjoy them. Just do your part to, try to keep some kind of control. If you see something unveiling in your area that's alarming to you, say something if you see something. That's kind of the best way we've been saying it the whole time. Some anglers that have really been, I like to watch the anglers on the page. I like to watch them grow. I like to see them when they start. Yeah, man. So, I just want to mention a couple anglers that we've been particularly paying attention to. And, Logan Bosley, he's been doing good. James Boyle, he's been doing good. Bobby Yaffe, I hope I'm saying that right. He's been doing great. Tommy Timlin, he's always doing good. He's on fire. Our man Leroy, who we're going to have here on the show here real shortly, keep dancing, keep making us all smile, keep making these positive posts, because you know what, Leroy, that's what it's all about. And you really bring another factor to this game for everybody. I think people enjoy watching you with your little antics and the things you're doing. And I think you're just a lot like a lot of us. You just want to put a smile on people's face. Roy Boyd, he just had a birthday. Happy birthday, Roy. He's been doing pretty good with his fishing up there. He seems to be staying pretty lit, and he was actually talking about some things that he found doing some scouting here in the last week or two. And look, Roy's a good example for everybody. We all need the look, if you're in an area and you got a lot of people fishing and you don't like the quote-unquote crowd, don't be afraid to go look somewhere new, because you don't know where these fish are popping up. I got friends that literally are finding them in ponds and stuff that aren't far off the Bush River. So, that could very well be birds took them there or something like that. So, just have fun and enjoy yourself. Jack Bundy, he's been catching a few fish. Jack Bundy, he was the one with the cleaning job. I don't know if anybody saw that snakehead this week on snakeheadlife.com, but he had the snakehead that had just been about, nothing was left but skin and bones in the head. That was about it. I think somebody said something to him about, don't forget the cheek meat. Look, man, Jack, if you forgot the cheek meat, that's okay, because look like you about got every little speck of meat off of that thing to begin with. And don't forget, folks, I have specimen jars if anybody needs them. If you want to help us collect some worms or some nematodes or any parasites that you find on the fish, we're trying to do some in-depth studies there and collect some data, which hasn't been done on some other avenues, some other ends of the spectrum that, maybe a lot of biologists haven't looked at yet and we want to look at. So we're going to do that. On the biology front with the state and U.S. Fish and Wildlife, a lot of stuff is still unfolding this year. We're going to have Josh, we're going to have Joe coming back on the show here real soon. We're going to revisit some of the stuff that we're seeing in the Upper Bay. I don't even want to get into Conowingo Dam yet. We're going to get into that in the next couple of weeks with some of the spectrum of what they're seeing there in the locks and, on the top side of the dam against the walls. And, I'm a little concerned with what I see there, but, that'll be something good to talk about. In the next couple of weeks, we've got some really, really good guests coming on. So, we're going to have Eddie's cousin, Frank.
Yeah, my uncle.
Or your uncle Frank. He's going to be coming on. Now, for those who don't know, Frank was supposed to be here this evening, and, we had some traffic issues. Minute. Yeah, he went down there to the ocean to pick up his trophy today and, to get that done. And it was just a lot going on there. And I think to ask him to come back and not to enjoy the moment was kind of, kind of stingy
Right.
on our part. So, Frank, enjoy yourself down there. Have a good time, man. Do whatever it is you do. Drink some for us. Have a good time. If you need a driver, call us. We'll come get you. Let's see who else. Melanie Pepper. For those of you who don't know, Melanie Pepper, she is somebody who has been very involved with the Sika study here in Dorchester County and, how that's going on. So we're going to have her coming on the show here real soon.
She also, didn't she have some, no, never mind.
Well, no, Laura Yao
Yeah,
might be who you
Laura
think.
Yao.
Laura Yao. So she wrote into us with a suggestion about she has some tracking dogs. She does Sika deer tracking, whitetail tracking. So we're going to ask her to come on the show.
Yeah, we'll get her on here real soon.
Brandon Manchin, we've got him coming on the show. I mean, we've got a lot of good people that are up and coming. We're just trying to get the scheduling, right.
Scheduling's always fun.
Yeah.
It's always a nightmare. So, but we'll get it all straight,
Yeah,
and we'll get all, and we got a good lineup.
It's hard to
coming up.
find people that don't have a life like us.
That's right.
Yeah, right. And I mean, another good thing I don't want to not talk about down the ocean, a lot of stuff's going on down there with fishing. They're catching some nice flounder. They're
Well, they
catching
just had
some
the White
blues.
Marlin Open.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That was
White Marlin
last
just went
weekend. A
through.
lot of money made there.
Oh my goodness!
A lot of
man.
money spent there,
Well,
Good
that's the whole
God.
purpose of having the contest.
I was thinking about that. Like I was reading some of the stats on like the vessels that were there. I think one of them was like 446 entries. Where in the do we put 446 boats when they come into town for this
It's
thing?
the ocean cast.
So what do we got? We got tie-ups out there in the ocean?
I bet there's 500, 600 slips in the Ocean City.
Oh, no doubt in my mind.
Well,
There's probably 500
one
here.
place.
Yeah.
I know that, but I'm just thinking,
Yeah.
my gosh, so what does this fleet just move around and like every marine that gets the opportunity to
And
get
it's-
440 boats in there for
not
the week
just-
at $1,000
It's like
a
living next
pop
to
to come
Dover
hang
Downs
out?
when they had the
That's
races.
like $500,000 just to dock your boat for a week, man.
And think of that bar tab for that week.
Oh my God.
Holy
That's
cow!
exactly what there's a $2 million prize.
That's right.
Yeah.
So I mean that's pretty much where I'm with the fishing. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I'm missing. I did hear that they're finding a good number of fish over in Bear Creek if you know where to look. They're finding a good number of fish over in the Patapsco if you know where to look. As far as Eastern Shore goes, I've talked to some guys up in the Sassafras. I have a guy up there right now who's able to find 15, 20 a day. So there's fish there. I know that. What else? That's about all. Oh, Bohemia. I talked to a guy in the Bohemia River, and he said that he had been catching quite a few snakeheads. And I've got some of his gut content pictures, and most of those fish that he caught were eating white perch. That's what was found in there. Most of the stuff.
It's funny. I very seldom ever catch a fish that has anything in him with a hook in his mouth when I catch them. They're always empty.
a lot.
The same way with females. I've caught 2 male fish all summer. I haven't asked my brother yet what his had in it, and he took the 2 that I caught, so I found out. But very seldom do I ever find
I'm the
anything.
same
in
way. Yeah.
I think the only reason that some of us get to see some of the gut content we get is because of the numbers of fish
Right.
that we're bringing into the boat.
That's true.
I mean, realistically, have I ever had 20 fish that had 20 things in their stomach? No. Have I had 20 fish and 50% had stomach contents? Yes, I've had that before.
Well, I think another thing too is if you're fishing with minnows, they're obviously eating live baits that they're feeding, and a lot of times with lure, I tell people this time of year, presentation's everything because it's like sitting to the dinner table with your dad and you drop the F-bomb. He just reaches over and smacks you without thinking about it. And if you can't put that lure there where that fish is going to react, you're not going to catch them because they're not feeding.
Yep.
They're laying up underneath the edge. They're just cooling. But when something hits in front of them, they just can't help but they've already grabbed it before they realize it probably wasn't a good idea.
I think the most challenging thing is when you're sight fishing, you see the fish and you cast and you miss.
Yeah, I like
Yes,
that.
I just right then and there, man. Like as soon as you come by that thing and you see him not even react, that's when I just want to be like, man, I wish I just had a quarter stick right now, throw on top of his head. No, I'm just kidding.
Or shotgun, just shooting the January. 7.5, you can bring him right to the top.
As far as the forecast for fishing, they're calling for some rain here the next couple of days on and off. So I think that this bite's going to continue to go the way it's been going. I think that that's going to be good. And before I forget, we have been seeing a few croaker around, and we have been seeing.
I've heard that.
I don't really want to blow the spots up, but there's a lot of cobia here right now, and there was a lot of red drum here. And folks, if you know what you're looking for in your fish finder, you can have 20 minutes of I need to go sit down because my arms hurt for the next 3 hours, and big bull reds, man, there's something else, brother. When you catch 10 of them, I mean, you're hurting pretty bad, I would say. So I don't know. I mean, that's about what I got out of the fishing report. We don't have a guest this week, so we're going to just kind of wing it and go with it. So if anybody out there has anything that you want to talk about,
let us know.
Feel free to put it in the comments, and we're going to roll with it as long as we can and try to.
We got our special guest down there.
Yeah, and we do, guys. I do got to say that. Like I do want to. These guys love me so much, and I love them so much, and they know that. I've always been a big Ren and Stimpy fan my whole life. So Jason's got a question, and let's get right to that next. So somebody keep track of questions.
Yep, I got it.
So Gary, I came into the Wilford store to
Don't tell them what your choices were.
meet everybody. No, I'm telling them. I'm telling them, dude, because that's just our program. And it says that we might say something that ain't right, every now and then. So Gary's sitting there, and he says, all right, Kazzy, I was thinking about you. And he says, and I got you a little something this week. He says, and you've got 2 choices for your gift. And he had this sitting on the table like this with a magazine there at the top of it like that. And he goes, you can have what's under this paper, or you can have what's in my pocket. And I have a hole in my pocket about that big, so whatever was there might have fallen through the pocket. I said, well, I'll take what's on the table.
Good choice.
Play it safe. And lo and behold, now here's the story behind this. Okay, like I have this DVD set. I've had it for a long time, just like you have, Gary. Who would have thought Gary's watching Ren and Stimpy late at night when nobody's around, dude?
Everybody.
I can see Gary right now. Log rolls downstairs and over your fan and over your neighbor's dog. I'm just kidding,
Yep.
So anyway, Gary got me the box set, which I did have, but here's the thing. I lost it 2 weeks ago, so I couldn't find it. And I hadn't said anything to him, so that's just pretty cool that he thought about that.
Everybody has skeletons in their closet.
I got the tattoo.
Not
right
everybody's
there
got Ren and Stimpy, but everybody's got skeletons.
Okay, so let's jump into a question real quick. Jason Garrison says, how do you tell the difference between the male and the female snakes? Go ahead, Gary.
Most all females that when you're gutting them, if they're not full of roe, they'll still have 2 little yellow sacs that are the size of your little fingernail, because I think that they spawn, there must be one little piece of it that stays there. They just automatically start pumping out another sack of eggs. 45 days. It's just how they are. Males won't have that.
And one thing I've also noticed is the females tend to be bigger.
Yeah.
I mean, just generally speaking, that's not always the case. You still get small females when they're young and everything like that, but
Your bigger fish are mostly all female.
Exactly. Yep. All of your, not all, but most of your bigger fish are pretty much going to be female when they get to that size.
And I know I think it was Josh said that a lot of times the males have a tendency to get almost black.
Mm-hmm.
When you can still see the pattern, but they're really, really dark as they get older and bigger.
A lot of times too, like I've had people send me pictures of the liver, so the liver is more of kind of like a whitish color, it's not that orange, you know what I'm saying? So sometimes you can be confused by the liver, because sometimes it will actually get a little discoloration to it, and you may mistake that liver for...
Well, that snakehead just had a little too much drink that week, that's all.
Right? Had a hard time processing
But I can tell you, this summer's not a... It's really tough this year, because I've caught 2 male fish all summer.
It has been...
And that's of everybody that I've taken that I've seen the fish. We've only caught 2 all summer long.
Wow.
This is the other thing, too. Like, last year it seemed that the fish were more apt to take their fry to open water. And we saw the fry balls all over the place, like Kiwanis and open areas like that, And this year what we're seeing is more of these fish holding their fry in shallower areas, more isolated areas away from the more easy, let's just say, accessible areas by other fish. We're seeing fry balls in areas of flooded, ponds that they've got for the ducks that are flooding out with the rain, and there's just thousands of fry in the pond, So I think, this is just me and my mentality with the fish, and you guys have always heard me over the years talk about it like this. I've watched them adapt. I've watched them learn lessons. I've watched them educate themselves through my own personal hypotheses and studies that I did, So we know that they have memory of color, and they have memory of color up to a period of 2 to 3 weeks, at least from what I figured in my data collection. So do these fish remember last year that we had our fry in areas and it didn't work out?
I'll tell you what I noticed.
So, I mean, I hate to be like crazy like that when everybody thinks I'm like this
No, you're
nuts
not-
crazy guy. I've lost my
that's not
mind.
crazy.
But I really, really believe that these fish are they're just not. They're not our typical fish. I mean, you know, in the beginning, the first couple of years, I never caught them in the winter. I never saw them in the dead of winter. I never saw them when the water was 30 degrees. You know, 3 years into it, I caught 30 at Newbridge in 34-degree water with iced out, or 36-degree water with iced out edges. And these fish were not lethargic to respond. They were aggressive to respond in that cold water. So that goes against the grain of what we have been taught or what we have learned. You know, I think this is the biggest thing, and I think that we all have said this, and we all are on this same page. We have to just get more data collected because there's so much that I don't think that we have learned about this fish.
And they're not
that
settled in yet.
Yeah.
No, they're
They're
continually
figuring
adapting.
it all out.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, you look at the other areas around the bay that they're not settled in, and I look at the numbers of so like what I've been doing here recently is I've been looking at folks' pictures, you know, from this year, and then I've been going back and looking at their pictures from last year, the same areas they were fishing, looking at the ratio of, let's say, largemouth bass that they caught compared to other things, as far as that being the predatory fish in the rivers and such. You know what I'm saying? So looking at their catches and going back, you know, I see their catches this year in quote unquote, let's just say the Bush River, and they've got 22 fish, snakeheads, and they've had 2 pictures of bass. You know, then I go and I look last year, that same time frame, they've got 15 bass, 1 snakehead, or 7 bass and 1 snakehead, or 8 bass and 1 snakehead. You see what I'm saying here? You go back the year before, you don't even see a snakehead in the picture. So that is where I think we need more homework. You know what I mean? We need more homework there, and we really need to look at really what's going on in each of those areas. You know, not so much the area as a whole, but let's shrink down each area and let's try to diagnose like we would ourselves if we went to the doctor. You know, if our hand hurts, they're first going to start looking in our hand to see what's going on, or if our ankle needs to be drained of 13 pints of fluid. You know,
Get that ink pen out of your hand.
yeah. But that's my point. I mean, to simply have the mindset that there's no problems, there's not going to be a problem. I mean, that's contempt prior to investigation, and I myself am guilty of having contempt prior to investigation, and that's why I am being so emphatic about trying to unravel and, you know, document and statistically wise show in a graph. You know what I mean? These are the things that we need to do to show other people so they know what to look for, you know? And I think there's a lot here that we still haven't uncovered that we're uncovering. And I think even looking at like this year, just a simple adaptation that we're seeing in the Chesapeake Bay. I mean, guys are out there in the bay shooting cow-nose rays, and I'm not talking about in the little chop tank river. I'm talking about they're out there in 90 feet of water shooting a snakehead off of a school rays. Or guys are down the ferry bridge and there's fry balls along the rocks outside of Hooper's Island. You know, so I know for me to sit here and say this is the scope of it is not correct.
Well,
you know?
I think the thing to always remember with these snakeheads, they're continually adapting to this environment. We know this is not their native environment.
Sure.
We know that they have only been here for 20 years. I mean, not even 20 years.
Right.
And to think that they're settled in is just asinine. I mean, there's no way a new species can get settled in 20 years.
Well, I'll tell you what I noticed this past weekend. And I noticed it the week before, but more so this past weekend. I've always watched the fry balls. And even when the water's high and the fry ball goes into Phragmites, the parents go into Phragmites with it. They'll come out and swim around, but they go back
Absolutely.
in. What I noticed this weekend, we saw probably 7 or 8 fry balls. And they were up in little pockets in the marsh.
That's what I'm
where
saying.
it's 2.5, 3 inches of water, and
Yes.
you can see them up there bubbling around.
Yes.
But the parents were out in front of it in the deeper water.
Yes.
They weren't, and the funny thing, they wouldn't hit lures because they're watching the fry. And finally, I made enough racket with one of those live something,
Live target?
yeah, live target frogs, that it splashed in them. I guess she heard them jump, and when it came out, she hit. But they're not feared for their young because they're what's going to get them in there.
Right.
And they know that. So they don't have any reason to hit a lure when it comes by. It's not an aggression thing. They're not eating. So they're a lot harder to catch, I think.
Yep.
I mean,
And
that's
you
kind
just
of
don't
what I'm
see
saying.
them out in the open. You see them in the afternoon or early morning. You'd see them, and then they'd go in. They're not out. Period. Now.
Well, I think what blew the whistle here, is in the beginning we were seeing lots of fry balls out in the open this year, and as we're going through the season, it's not that we're seeing less fry balls, we're just seeing less fry balls in that open area.
Right, exactly.
It seems to me like these fish have now decided, hey, let's find us a nice little place to hide and get away from everybody, and let's do our thing.
We saw Jimmy and Joe get taken off their fry balls right around Key West Bridge. Let's not go back there this year.
Right.
So I think that's pretty much what's happened.
And if you catch one off of there and the other one hits it and almost gets hooked, he's already learned.
Exactly.
Or she's already learned, whatever.
I agree too. I mean, I've had.
Well, I'll tell you a similar comparison. I hear a lot of people who sick of deer hunted back in the 70s talk about how easier it was to get one because you could go out in the marsh and they were there. The reason you can't do that anymore, look how many people are in the marsh.
Oh, my goodness.
Just look at the Blackwater River, and I say this all the time. There's more people who have been from Big Blackwater Bridge back towards the weir in the last 5 years than in the last 100 years, probably.
Yeah. And the other thing, too, is you got to look at the amount of boat traffic that we're getting here now, too, with the kayaks. You know what I mean? It's more kayaks than anything. I'll tell you what. I am blown away, and I just want to say this, let me give Chris Leslie a little plug over there. BigBassUSA.com. Chris has been selling, I don't know how many kayaks he's sold. And, I mean, let's talk about Matt Meredith. I mean, he sold a ton of kayaks. I mean, just look at the volume of kayaks that we see coming down the road. Like when I drive to town in the morning or something like that, I know I pass at least 5 or 6 just on 16.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And then if you go down, come up Egypt Road, there's another 4 or 5 there you're passing. So right there, just in the morning, you're passing 15 kayaks. And that's not the scope of the day.
Right.
That's just what you saw during that time frame. I mean, we need more parking, and while we're there, let's revisit, since I just said the magic word parking. Chris Leslie, I didn't mean to cut you off there with your little plug, but look, if you need a kayak, I mean, Chris Leslie, Matt Meredith, I mean, these guys you want to reach out to and check them out. I understand that kayaks and all boats are becoming hard to get with this COVID thing because with the social distancing, everybody's buying kayaks and boats.
Not just kayaks and boats, it's the fishing lures.
Everything,
top to bottom.
I know. And I mean, even bait, like there's a shortage of bloodworms right now. They can't even get enough bloodworms, so.
I got a little confirmation on the fish that my brother and I caught. Small one was a male, no roe. 2 bigger ones had roe.
So there again, 1 out of 3,
Big old fat woman.
I mean, that's another thing. Like, I really want to try to get this figured out. Why are we seeing the amount of female fish that we're seeing?
I think it's water temperature.
I do too. And I think that we really need to get some answers to that because that could help. I just think that if we could figure out, what the water temperature's doing to the females, I just think that gives us another way to look at what's unfolding as far as numbers. You know what I mean? Like, why are we seeing the numbers increase? Are we seeing these numbers blow like this because there's so many females?
Genetically, they hatch extremely quick.
Yes.
A couple days.
24 to 48 hours.
So temperature's got to play a big part in that. So the warmer the water is, I'm sure genetically they're probably programmed to be pumping them out. And it's just...
And that's how most fish
sense,
are.
But you don't know what we will know.
Right. I mean, that's how most fish are that I have seen. So any of our hobbyists out there that ever had anything to do with snakeheads that might know the answer to that question, and I'm going to start really digging into that and researching some more. I have really been digging into the science end of this and the publications from just the universities around the country that have been working on some of this stuff and the things that they're seeing. And what I'm learning is just blowing my mind away because not that I think I've learned everything there is to learn, because I think if I've learned everything there is to learn, I become unteachable, then it's time to hang it up. I just believe that, everybody always asks me, why my convictions the way it is. My convictions are my convictions because they're my convictions, but my mind is open. I have been very open-minded to read everything that I'm seeing from all the publications, from all the biologists, colleges, and places that have been doing studies. And I'm going to continue to share that with the group, so that other people can see, the broad spectrum of this thing and not just keep this so small, I mean, we really need to open this whole thing up, altogether, period. But I would really like to know that, why are we seeing the amount of females that we're seeing? And I'm going to go back and look through some of my old pictures from like 7 years ago, because I know I have gut sampling shots and I know I have, stomach content shots. And I know in some of them pictures, I can probably go back and I might be able to get a ratio of what it was,
It'd be tough to
7,
do.
8 years ago. But I
Last
could
year
get
it
some
wasn't
kind
that
of an
high.
idea, though. If I've got 20 fish laying there and I look through all the 20 and I see them cut, and I can definitely gauge that 15 are female and 5 are male, then I think that's worth the time for me going back. It may be a waste of time. You may be right, but
I can just remember back last year, it was probably 2 to 1 maybe. I saw a lot of males last year, and
I
this
did too.
year,
That's what.
It's a good time to be a rooster snakehead.
You'd be a busy man, bro. No wonder them things are so strong and fight so bad. They never stop. No, just kidding. So anyway, so yeah, if you need a kayak, call Chris, and let's start talking about some of the other things that are going on, because we're kind of getting a good show going here at 30 minutes. I didn't think we'd make it out this long without a guest. So, but I always say that, don't I?
Yeah.
So, Gary, let's talk a little bit about the new opening for parking. So let's kind of shift gears a little bit. Let's go into some Sika deer. Let's talk a little bit about that. We know they're getting ready to open up some new areas.
We're less than a month
Yes.
from opening a boat
And
season.
that's what I'm saying. And Eddie has a phenomenal product here that I stock up on every year by the hundreds. And if you want some, you better make sure that you get Eddie an order
quick,
before I
goes
buy them,
fast.
because as soon as the boxes come in, I know I grab. Eddie, I'm not lying, am I, Eddie?
I
I
get
grab
it.
probably 50 of them.
I get a year's supply at a time. It doesn't take a lot. But
And that's the Sika scent.
Right.
So Eddie will have that coming in here. So I know you got some here now, don't you? A little
I
bit.
got a
But
few
you
cans,
ain't
yeah.
very many. But yeah, Gary. So let's talk about the parking that's opening up. And
Blackwater's has a new area this year. Now, Marcia talked about it when she was here, Area X, which is basically down at the end of Harrisville Road, which is right past Wolford's store. You go down the end, they put in a new parking lot, and that's on this side of the Blackwater River.
Right.
There's an old footbridge there, but that's not going to be usable to cross the river on.
No.
So
they're going to be taking that out. Is that what they're going to do?
they're going to take the boards off at least, I think.
Good, because
Is the
I'd
plan.
like to see the poles still
Yeah,
sit
you
there
know
for
what-
structure.
Yeah, it's good to have structure, but it's not safe to walk and liability and everything else. So, but the other side is accessible by Smithville Road to, I believe it's M1.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
hooks up to them one.
M1, you go in the back M1 park and walk in. Yeah, because M2 is the second. No, it's M.
It's
yeah.
M2, I think.
No, I think it is M1. But no, M2. You're right. It is M1.
They expanded M2 with it.
Right. So you go in and walk into it there. It's a long walk, but it's was a club for many years.
And
most of the guys were in that club over 30, 35 years.
And before I forget, we have been working to get the parking lots in place over at the Wildlife Drive for the snakehead anglers. Before I forget, we're going to open an area up over there. And that will be coming very, very soon. So you'll have another, what did we say? It was another 20 parking spots or something there.
Just around
Yeah.
So
18
we'll
or
be able to
20.
get another 20 anglers in there or so a day, and there's a lot of shoreline access there. The biggest thing that we're going to have to keep in mind is the trash, and if you go in there and you tear the place up, this ain't going to last. So this is kind of like a trial for the anglers. Let's see how you handle it, and let's see how we do with it. And if we do good with it, then we're going to consider opening up more areas. And here's the best part about it. All these new areas that are opening up haven't been accessed. So these are all new areas that will become available for anglers that are visiting that will have new opportunities. So so that's the biggest thing. I think it's really great, Gary, that they're doing all the things that they're doing
And
here.
there's some other things in the works can't really talk about
Right.
yet, but
Right.
but some possible future opportunities for some off-season stuff that's never ever been available down here.
Now, I do want to talk about the program that they had, the first shot mentoring program. And, for anybody out there that is interested in passing on your ethics or passing on, some education to some new youth that are getting into hunting.
It's not that youth; it's individuals.
Well, individuals,
Anybody.
yes. So, but it's good for youth. I mean, that's what I'm saying. It's good for kids. You can volunteer for this program, and you can, help these kids. And I believe that you can take these kids hunting, if I remember correctly.
That's correct. There's a course for them, or an orientation. I don't know if you call it a course or not, but anyway, they hook mentors up with people who have never hunted before, and they have some are on the refuge, some are on private land that people that own private land allow this mentoring program to go on to, and it's a really good thing. And if you're interested, contact Blackwater Wildlife Refuge. That's who you want to get hold of, and somebody just leave a message probably because they don't have many people in the office right now, but someone will get back to you about it. And I can't. I'm sorry to say I can't tell you much about it because I've been kind of mentoring on the side on my own thing the last few years, but I'm definitely going to do that this year.
You are going to go ahead and join the mentor?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's a good deal.
I think I might
And they
join
not
you.
only have it for Sika deer, but they also have it for turkey.
Turkeys,
Yep.
yeah.
I won't do it for turkey. I'm just not a turkey hunter. But
And maybe with the success of this, we may be able to start a mentoring program for kids with snakeheads.
Well,
That'd be
that's-
cool.
Just a thought.
that's a possibility.
Marsha, that's just a thought. I'm just kidding.
That's a possibility. But also, if you're interested in hunting, Blackwater's had in the past about 27,000 acres. Now they have about 30,000 acres of land, and I think a large percentage of that, 20,000 acres of that, is huntable land
Absolutely.
and open to the public. If you're interested in it, you can no longer contact the refuge to get a permit. What you do is you go on recreation.gov, not recreational, not recreations,
Right.
recreation.gov. When you go on there, first thing you want to do is set up a what do you call it when you go online? You want with a password and all your stuff. You want to log so that you can log in. Once you get that set in, don't go to anything but permits. You want to go to permits, and the rest of it you got to feel your way through. But when you go in, you go deer permits. There won't be a whole lot of thing, and you want to, you can Google or not Google, but click in on Blackwater, and it'll send you to it. And the permits. One thing I will tell you about the process of doing it, each thing, whether you're going muzzleload and bow, early muzzleload, late muzzleload, same way with shotgun, each one is a transaction, and you have to go back to the previous page and click on the next thing you want. And it's $6 per transaction. So if you did them all, it's about $42 in transaction fees. But that's, it's no different than.
And Marsha talked about that when she was here, and that was something they were trying to get rid of and just wasn't able to.
Their program is set up so you can't go in on a spreadsheet, click what you want, and go out. It's not set up that way.
So this is just one of them things, and it's part of the contractor that built the website is.
And they don't give you the 7 for 5 price either.
I mean, the other thing too, Marsha said, anybody could reach out to her.
Right.
If you have any problems,
if anybody needs any help, that's why I love Marsha so much. I mean, she really makes herself available, and she's done an excellent job over there at the refuge. She told me the other day, Kaz, if anybody says they're having any issues, just have them reach out to me directly, and I'll be happy to help them or walk them through the steps to make sure that they get what they need and they're successful.
And they can send us a message too.
Yeah.
I'm certainly not a computer whiz, but I do my best to try to help somebody.
Now, while we're talking about that, and you just said send you a message, just made me think of something. So, guide-wise, Gary, let's talk to people about the schedule you got coming up. I know Alan Hunter, we haven't forgot you. We're going to get to you.
I'm gonna get down
we're gonna
tonight.
get to you
Alan, I
tonight.
apologize.
Try to get
man.
you
It's
figured
been
out.
a
It's been
crazy
crazy
week.
here this week.
Yep.
I know that Damian Cook. So, for those of you that know Damian Cook, Lowland Outfitters, he is only got 2 or 3 days left for the
I
year.
think he
So
said
we
last
just- okay,
night.
3.
Whether he's booked today, I don't know.
So I mean, that's how much. That's how crazy it is here, really, if you want to think about it. I mean, I don't know many guides that only got 3 days left for the year. I mean, a few, but not anybody really down here. You know what I'm saying?
For me, I'm working full time, and,
Right.
and so is Damon.
You have to flip it.
Till
Damon's
October.
available out on the weekends. Weekends are harder for me than weekdays.
Now, I did talk to Damien. Damien did say next year he was going to try to go full time and be done with.
Well, next
do what he's
year I'm
gonna
going to be
do, so.
semi-retired. I'd rather be retired.
Don't say it too loud,
Don't
man.
tell
You
my
might get put to work, right?
but I'll have some more time. Hopefully, I'll do a lot of guiding next year. That's what I'm looking forward to. It's a lot of fun to take somebody out and catch their first snakehead. It's like my 3rd or 4th time this summer that I've been able to do that. It's a lot of fun.
So as far as openings go, you've still got some availability, but you
Yeah.
don't have very much availability.
You've basically got another till September 11th.
Well, and I'm going to do this year some later season. But I can tell you, if it is, it's going to be when the weather cools off, and it's going to be midday stuff, because where I hunt is also where I fish, and I'm not going to screw somebody else up just to go out and have a good day fishing. There's a lot of people hunt there, and I don't want to be in their way. I don't want to get shot either.
So if anybody needs a guide, you can reach out to Gary, and Gary can let you know what he's got as far as availability. The other thing is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start after we get done with Labor Day. I'll get myself situated so that I can step into the picture and we can get some other stuff going too. I don't want to really, here's the thing. Eddie's getting ready to have a baby, so we know that. So
Charlotte is.
right,
Yeah,
well,
Charlotte
is. So.
That's right.
Yeah, you're right. I'm wrong. I just looked at Eddie's stomach. He's good. I'm sorry.
His feet are swollen, but he's got the gout. It's not fluid. Oh my.
So, back to the question I had last night. I forgot about tournaments. So we're going to put together at least one or two pop-up tournaments after Labor Day. There's going to be, we get a bunch of guys together, have a little party, have a little cookout when we're done, over here at the store or something, serve everybody some snakehead bites or something, and just be a one-and-done kind of thing, nothing fancy, no sponsors, nothing big like that. Right. We are starting to get things back into work for the Maryland Snakehead Festival. So as the COVID stuff starts to be lifted or figured out or whatever you want to call it, so we're looking at that. So everybody start paying attention. We're going to be getting this Maryland Snakehead Festival thing off the ground, hopefully. This winter we'll do something with it. I think that's the prime time to do it, right after the last rifle season, get something going. So.
Basically, we're stuck on that until the group restrictions are lifted. Right. We're at a standstill on that.
And as far as the tournament goes, if Eddie has a baby, then me and Gary, I guess we'll get something figured out there. Don't say that. God dang.
Let's give something away. We got something to give away.
Yeah, I don't know. Could give that away right there. I don't know. And who out there drinks? I don't drink because when I drink, I break out in handcuffs. But if anybody out there wants one of these Wolford store koozies right here, just
fit soda bottles too.
Yeah, I forgot about that. Put in there, I want that koozie with a K. Let's see, Gary. So, I don't know, man. Let's talk about hunting. What are you doing to get yourself together? You done any scouting? You done any looking around?
I was just about to say we got scout days for Blackwaters coming up.
Yeah. Which are the 5th and 6th of September.
Exactly.
And that's also Memorial Day weekend, so
I can't go. I have to sell
There'll be a lot
crabs.
of single guys out there. Probably not gonna
Hey, let's do a survey. How many of the people that came to scout are married or not married?
No, you just ask them that day. See somebody out there, ask them if they're married.
Hey, you're not married, are you? Hey, you're not married, are you, bro? Hey, good to see you. You're not married, are you, man?
I was till this morning.
I was till I get home. My shit's outside.
But it's just, how it falls because the season comes in a couple. Your bag limit is also one stag. So you could have a stag on Blackwater, you can have a stag on either private or state land.
And that's each season. And
that's each season.
Explain
that's
shotgun,
that part. Right. Muzzleloader the same.
So realistically,
and actually rifle season, but there is no rifle season on Blackwater. Right. So you only get one stag on rifle season on the whole bag. So it gives you a lot more deer. I have never really talked to anyone that's ever bagged out. I know some people that have come close, but
I know some guys that have, but they'll never tell you they did.
Well,
It was in the dark. No, I'm just
kidding.
But
it would be, to get some nice. That's a lot of and it's more than most people want.
Right.
And I don't. And I'm not a horn hunter per se. I got a really nice deer last year, but it was because he walked out there. It wasn't because I really went after him.
So let's break it down like this for the folks, okay? Let me break it down to you like this. If you want to win that sticker right there, then you need to put in the comments, give me that sticker, okay? But while I'm thinking about it, this is the thing, Gary. So what we're trying to tell the folks is this. If you hunt Blackwater, you can have 3 stags through the season and 2, 4, 6 does, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. And if you hunt whitetails in Blackwater, you can have, 10 does and 2 whitetail per season?
I have no idea. I don't hunt whitetails on Blackwater or anywhere else.
I think it's 10 and 2. I think that's how it works. So you can have 10 whitetails and 10 whitetail does, 2 whitetail bucks in each of those 3 seasons.
I do know in Maryland, if you have a bow season, it's unlimited dose.
Right. So, but I think it's different on the refuge. I think it's only 10. I think that's how it's worked. So let's just look at this, folks. So if you get your permit at Blackwater, no matter what it costs, okay, and you get your license through the state, no matter what it costs, and you're lucky enough to tag out on each side, here's what you could have, okay? In Blackwater, you could have 10, 20, 30 whitetail does, 2, 4, 6 whitetail bucks. That's through the whole season because you have 3 different seasons: bow, shotgun, and muzzleloader. So those are your 3 seasons, right? Then you could have 2, 4, 6 Sika does, and 1, 2, 3 Sika bucks. Now that's just in your federal bag through Blackwater. That doesn't count against your state count.
Better get a bigger truck.
Right. So now over in the state, you can have 2, 4, 6 Sika does and 1, 2, 3 Sika bucks, and you can have 10, 20, 30 whitetail does, and you can have 2, 4, 6.
Not on the state limit. That's not.
On state's unlimited on does. I think
Oh,
in
yeah,
some areas.
I'm sorry. I thought you were talking about private.
No. So I'm just saying. So right there, you've got 30, 60. 6 times 3 is 18.
All I hear is a full freezer.
78. You could have 78 does between both, and you could have 2, 4, 1, 2, 3,
A lot.
6.
Holy crap.
2, 4, 6. You could have 12 plus 6. You could have 18 bucks through the season. So literally, you could have 100 deer on your tag and be legal.
You better have
Holy
a lot
shit.
of time on your hands, or you better have a couple really good days.
And be single.
Yeah. And there's also limits per day.
Right.
Oh,
Fall turkey, Gary. Do you do any of that?
Nope.
No, I'm not a turkey guy either.
No,
that's not
turkey.
my
I know they have well, actually, it's almost a winter season. It's
Yeah.
late when they have it.
Oh, I'm a turkey. Ain't no doubt about that.
And I know it's the first part of it's not, but the second part is a hen or a cockbird, either one. But I don't know exactly how it goes. Don't know anything about it. If I have my buddy Joey here, he could tell you.
So I
Oh,
got,
is Joey a big turkey guy?
Oh, God, I love it.
So I gotta tell you this. So I was out Taylor's Island fishing this week, and I've been hitting that. I got a little spot I've been hitting in the mornings early with the dogs after I take them out. And I was out there, and I could not believe this, but literally out in the marsh, and I'm talking wet, man. Like there's no dry out there. And the other side of this cove, it's all wet too, nothing dry. There were freaking bob whites out in the marsh.
Oh, yeah.
Out
seen
there.
a lot.
And so I started whistling. Before I know it, they're over here in the marsh too. And next thing you know, both of them are hollering back and forth to each other across the water. I was waiting to see if a bob white would cross the water to get to the other side.
I thought you said a Bob Ross at first.
Well, I was the
He was
same way with
painting over on
turkeys.
the side. I helped him out for a little bit.
I always thought turkeys, were pretty much dry land birds. But last year I was back in Blackwater, and there you are. And it had flooded. The tide was up high, and there was probably 4 or 5 inches of water in the marsh. And I heard this kapluk, kapluk. I said, hot dogs. Well, here it comes,
Blooping.
Yeah, no, just the kapluk, kapluk coming through the water.
Right?
I said, well, it's a couple second deer coming. And it kept saying I couldn't see anything, but I could see the water rippling. And finally I saw it. It was about a dozen turkeys, and they were picking the bugs off of the bushes where the water had come up, and the bugs had all run up into the bush, and, man, they were picnicking.
I was fishing, real quick story. I was out at Smithville at the ramp one year fishing. This was probably 8 years ago. But I'm out there fishing, and I get out of my truck, and I'm sitting there baiting up my line, and from behind me, I hear this little squeaking noise. I turn around, here come 3 little baby turkeys. They walked all the way across the parking lot and sat down right between my feet, I swear to God. I looked down and thought, man, what am I going to do with these things? I thought rockfish bait, right? No, I'm just kidding. I never thought that. Anyway, I did scoop them up, and I brought them back home, right? So I didn't know what to feed them, so I Googled what to feed them. Worms, this, that, grubs. So I go out, and I got these 3 turkeys literally sleeping with me every night under my neck because I'm trying to figure out what to do with them. And finally, I had to get rid of them because when I would sleep, or if they got up before I did, I ain't shitting you, man. They would peck your eyeballs while you're laying there sleeping, man, and that shit hurt, dude, straight up, So after the 3rd day, I was like, nah, we ain't doing this no more, man. I'm calling the comp. I'm taking these things somewhere and getting rid of them. So, plus, I'm sure I didn't want to deal with the fine that was probably going to come with having them too, So, let's see. I know we got another one of these Wolford Store koozies here from Eddie to give away. So if anybody wants that koozie, go ahead and say, I want that koozie with a K, please. Rob Moffitt, you got the other one. So that'll be here waiting for you at the Wolford Store for you to pick up.
Oh, I'll tell you one thing we talked about. You asked me what I do for around second deer. One thing I'll tell you, and it took me a lot of phone calls to get this information, but if you have feeders out, and the raccoons are driving you crazy, 2 things. You can live trap them if they're tearing your equipment up. They're going up and pulling the wires off your solar panel, or they're ripping the feeder apart, chewing a hole in it, which they don't usually do. Squirrels more do that. But with raccoons, since they're a fur bear, you cannot just kill them. Squirrels, skunks, all the rest of the stuff you can. But With raccoons, you can live trap them. At one time, you had to live trap them and relocate them, but you can't relocate them now because of rabies.
Right.
So you have to live trap them, and then you can kill them, but you can't kill them unless they're in a live trap.
Right.
But when it's like the second week in October, maybe a little later, but I think it's somewhere around the 15th of October, raccoon season comes in.
Mm-hmm.
Then you can shoot them, but don't shoot them unless you got a fur bearers, and don't
That's right.
trap them unless you got a fur bearer's permit. It's $5 when you get your license, but don't get caught without one.
Exactly.
You know, it's amazing. I think it's really important that you just brought that up. You know, a lot of people, you know, and I understand some people just don't know. You know, I mean,
Well,
you know,
most people would-
if you have an animal that's acting stupid around your area, you just can't go and shoot it. I mean, you can if you ain't gonna get caught, blah 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 blah. But I mean, if you go out and you shoot a raccoon and call somebody and say, I just shot this thing, I think it's rabid, and they come out there and you ain't got a permit and you don't have, I mean, it could open a door up for something, you know. So it's real important, Gary, and I appreciate you bringing that up. I didn't even think about that.
You know, because most people are going to ask the same thing I asked: why do you have to live trap them and then destroy them?
Right.
And it's because the law, as far as being able to relocate them, changed.
Yes.
And not too many people are going to go and try to get legislation changed on a technicality.
Right.
And that's what would have to happen. So it's just not really worth it. It's just something to know about if you don't know it. Probably never going to see anybody back there when you're hunting, but you know, if you're law abiding, that's just one of the laws.
Yep, exactly right.
Well, I don't know, man. I mean, we pretty much.
We've still got to get our angler spotlight of the week.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I just want to say we made it 50 minutes without a guest, and
Can we
here we were.
play a little Ren and Stimpy?
Yeah.
You got a DVD player?
Well, no, I can. I pretty much have still the shit memorized in my head. You know.
Yeah.
Here we see the
Pat will
ferocious
recite for-
Croco Stimpy.
Yeah, you'll Kaz will recite for you next week some Ren and Stimpy.
I think we'll skip that.
I like it.
But yeah,
Yeah.
we got our angler spotlight of the week here. Zach Holbrook. So we've got a Snakehead Life sticker
for you. Here at the store you can pick up, and I'll tell you what, man, that was a hell of a fish, man.
That's a
That's
great
good looking
fish.
fish. Yeah, he had a, I mean, he had a good day over
I
there.
like them when they're hanging down like that better than when they're just stretched
Yeah,
out.
me
Yeah,
too.
me too.
That's when you know they're a big fish.
Yeah.
That's a good fish.
It's a beautiful fish.
What did you say, 13 pounds?
I think it was 13 pounds, just something like that.
That's a
God,
real
it was
good
gorgeous,
fish.
though.
That's what yours should have been.
Yeah.
He was sick.
Yeah, it was 30. It was 30.
30
30
and a
or
half?
yeah, something like that. But
What was
it
yours?
only
Yours all head, no girth? Or
yeah,
what?
that's exactly right. It was 30 inches and 6 pounds.
Maybe that could be a new shirt. All head, no girth.
Yeah, he was definitely
Oh yeah, you're right.
he
That's
had
not a
definitely
good
no gut content at all.
No, not at all. She was empty.
What was the one boy? He had a picture up this week of ate a catfish, and the spine had came through the fish out of its stomach lining and was sticking out the side of the fish.
Oh, I missed that one.
Yeah, it's on the page, so anybody might want to go look at that. That was pretty cool to see the catfish spine sticking out. I have caught hundreds that got catfish in their stomachs, you know, and I always have asked myself that. How in the hell do they get around the spines on the top and the sides? You know, I just never understood that.
That's
Sometimes
why
they
always eat
do.
'em head
I guess.
first.
Yeah. Matter of fact, you know what? I think that fish was reversed. Maybe that's why. It was in the backwards position.
But that was hard going down.
Shoo.
Yeah, right. Can you imagine that or a freaking crab trying to eat a hard crab, dude? That's got to hurt too, dude.
You better crush that hard crab first. You don't want to swallow
We
it.
count claws.
This week's lures. I mean, what did we hear a lot of? We heard a lot of feedback on some Madero stuff this week. You know, a lot of guys
They're
were
always
catching them at
good, man.
Dixon baits. The MEPs, of course. We heard lots of stories this week about MEPs.
Yeah, boy called us first on the maps this week.
We heard some feedback on some crankbaits this week. We've heard some feedback on some different lures that we haven't heard much talk about here recently. You know, so I don't know, man. We got any more one mores or what? Where are we at with all that stuff?
No, I'm out of one more.
Want to give away anything else, or are we giving away everything else today we got? Anybody want a free pen? Say I want that pen in the comments, and I'll give you my pen.
I don't think that's going to work.
So anyway, it's time, the Sunday Fun Day giveaway. Hey, look, folks, we thought we couldn't do it this week without you, and we did it again. So hey, we want to say thank you for your support, thank you for watching, thank you for tuning in, and thank you for inviting all your friends out here. And look, we are simply enjoying meeting everybody, and we are just having such a good time, and we are so glad everybody else is too. So please, if there's anything that you want us to do or any guests you can think of that you might want me to go after, don't be afraid to send us a message and let us know what we can do to make it better, because we always want to step up our game, make it a little bit better if we can. So anyway, let's get right to it. All right, look, MEPS, from our good friends MEPS out there, look, Chris Ryan, we are going to give you that MEPS this week, so you can pick that MEPS up, any MEPS of your choice here at the Wolford store. Okay, wickedstickers.com, my good friend Eris Matos. Look, if you need anything for your business, any kind of substrate, pens, hats, shirts, stickers, towels, floor mats, chairs, houses, I don't care what you want. Eris can make anything, any kind of substrate you need on anything that you need. So, Erica Bannerman, you get the Wicked Stickers Crab Stand prize package this week. My good friend Mitch out there at the Stonebridge Grill in Parkton, Maryland. Look, folks, if you have not ate at the Stonebridge, you just do not know what you're missing. Debbie Blanche Stanko, you get that $20 gift card from out there from the Stonebridge Grill. And you can get anything you want there. Look, the crab cakes are amazing. The soft crabs are amazing. All kinds of good stuff out there. My favorite thing at Stonebridge is probably the chicken wings, because I'm just a chicken wing fanatic and they got to be perfect. And Mitch, they are perfect. So thank you. From the Crab Stand, home of the guaranteed #1 Maryland crab. That's all we sell, Maryland crabs. 100% guaranteed Maryland crabs, right from the boat to your throat. Look, this week I'm going to give Maria Zufall, you get a dozen crabs. Jeff Hackler, you get a dozen crabs. So that's what we're giving away this week on the Crab Stand. And keep in mind, folks, the crabs this week are looking amazing. They're big, they're huge, so get your orders in. We've already got a ton of orders out there at Parkton and Abingdon, so I don't want to disappoint anybody. Getting in what you can get, and we'll get you as much as we can get. I want to sing a little song. You want to join me, Eddie, and you want to join me, Gary, or what?
Absolutely not.
Gary, come on.
I'm not a singer, buddy.
We're going to change all that this week. I think that you need a ukulele, you need a harmonica, and I will do all the singing.
Clinton had the harmonica.
Had, that's the key word, had. My crabs, they have 3 first names. It's heavy, full, and fat. My crabs, they have a 4th name. Absolutely mustard packed! So, if you ask me where they're from, they're 100% guaranteed Maryland. #1s, #1s. Come on, Eddie. Come on, Gary. At the Crab Stand, here's a fact I know for sure you're coming back. Kapow! 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 And we'll see you next Thursday.